The Middle East was once again shaken by the reverberations of conflict as the United States launched airstrikes against Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. This significant escalation of force, ordered by President Donald Trump, marked a dramatic turn in the ongoing Yemeni civil war and sent shockwaves through the region. The strikes, targeting key Houthi strongholds, were a direct response to a series of increasingly brazen attacks on international shipping lanes in the Red Sea, a vital artery of global commerce. The Trump administration, long critical of Iran's destabilizing activities in the region, accused Tehran of directly supporting the Houthi attacks, a charge vehemently denied by the Iranian government. This latest confrontation has brought the United States and Iran closer to the brink of open conflict, raising fears of a wider regional war with potentially catastrophic consequences. The situation in Yemen, already the world's worst humanitarian crisis, is now even more precarious. As the dust settles from the initial strikes, the international community watches with bated breath, uncertain of what the future holds but deeply apprehensive of the potential for further violence and instability. For centuries, the Red Sea has served as a vital maritime route connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa. This ancient waterway has been a lifeline for civilizations, facilitating trade, cultural exchange, and economic growth. Its strategic importance cannot be overstated, as it forms a critical link in the global supply chain, ensuring the smooth flow of goods and resources across continents. Its narrow southern passage, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, acts as a crucial choke point for global trade, with billions of dollars worth of goods passing through its waters every day. This narrow strait, only 18 miles wide at its narrowest point, is one of the world's most significant maritime bottlenecks. The uninterrupted passage through this strait is essential for the global economy, as it connects the Indian Ocean with the Mediterranean Sea via the Suez Canal. However, this vital waterway has become increasingly perilous in recent months, plagued by a surge in attacks attributed to the Houthi rebels who control much of Yemen's coastline. The instability in the region has turned the Red Sea into a hotspot for maritime security threats, endangering not only the vessels that traverse its waters, but also the global supply chains that depend on them. Since November 2023, the Houthis have targeted dozens of merchant vessels, ranging from oil tankers to container ships, disrupting the flow of essential goods and sending shockwaves through the global economy. These attacks have not only caused significant financial losses, but have also heightened the risks for maritime operators, leading to increased insurance premiums and operational costs. These attacks, often involving sophisticated weaponry, have resulted in the sinking of ships, the seizure of cargo, and the tragic loss of innocent lives. The human cost of these assaults is immeasurable, with families mourning the loss of loved ones and communities grappling with the economic fallout of disrupted trade. The Houthis, claiming solidarity with the Palestinian cause in the ongoing Gaza conflict, justify their actions as a necessary response to what they perceive as Western aggression in the Middle East. This alignment with broader geopolitical issues has further complicated the situation, drawing in various international actors and exacerbating regional tensions. The international community, alarmed by the escalating violence and the threat to global trade, has condemned the Houthi attacks and called for an immediate cessation of hostilities. Diplomatic efforts are underway to broker peace and ensure the safety of maritime routes, but the path to resolution remains fraught with challenges. The United States, in particular, has taken a strong stance against the attacks, viewing them as a direct challenge to its interests and a violation of international law. American officials have emphasized the need to protect freedom of navigation and ensure the security of global trade routes, highlighting the strategic importance of the Red Sea. The recent airstrikes, therefore, represent a significant escalation in the U.S. response, signaling a determination to protect its interests and maintain freedom of navigation in this critical waterway. This military intervention underscores the high stakes involved and the lengths to which nations will go to safeguard their economic and strategic interests in the region. The Houthi rebels, in justifying their attacks on Red Sea shipping, have drawn a direct link between their struggle in Yemen and the ongoing conflict between Israel and Palestine in Gaza. They claim that their actions are part of a larger movement against oppression and injustice, aligning themselves with the Palestinian cause to gain broader support and legitimacy. They argue that both conflicts are symptomatic of a broader struggle against Western imperialism and Israeli aggression in the region. This narrative is designed to resonate with a wide audience, tapping into long-standing grievances and historical injustices that many in the Arab and Muslim world feel deeply about. By targeting international shipping, They aim to exert pressure on the international community and garner support for their cause, portraying themselves as part of a wider resistance movement against perceived injustice. This strategy is not just about military tactics, but also about winning the battle of narratives and public opinion. However, this narrative has been met with skepticism by many observers. Analysts point out that the Houthis' actions have significant economic repercussions, disrupting vital shipping routes and affecting global trade, which complicates their portrayal as mere freedom fighters. While the Israeli-Palestinian conflict undoubtedly resonates deeply within the Arab and Muslim world, the Houthis' direct targeting of commercial vessels, with its significant economic and humanitarian consequences, has drawn widespread condemnation. The international community is concerned about the broader implications of such actions on regional stability and global commerce. Critics argue that the Houthis are exploiting the Palestinian cause for their own political gain, using it as a pretext to further their own agenda in Yemen. They suggest that the Houthis' primary focus remains on consolidating power within Yemen, rather than genuinely supporting the Palestinian struggle. The attempt to connect the Yemeni conflict to the Palestinian cause highlights the complex web of alliances and rivalries that define the Middle East. This region is characterized by shifting allegiances and a multitude of actors, each with their own interests and agendas, making the situation even more intricate and volatile. While the Houthis receive support from Iran, a staunch critic of Israel, their tactics have alienated potential allies and further isolated them on the international stage. This isolation complicates their efforts to gain broader regional support and undermines their position in the eyes of the international community. The conflict in Yemen, while undoubtedly influenced by regional dynamics, remains primarily a struggle for power within Yemen itself, with its roots in decades of poverty, corruption, and political instability. The humanitarian crisis in Yemen is one of the worst in the world, and the ongoing violence only exacerbates the suffering of its people, making a resolution to the conflict even more urgent. The decision to launch airstrikes against the Houthis in Yemen marks a significant escalation in U.S. involvement in the region under the Trump administration. This move is not just a tactical military decision, but a strategic signal to the world about America's stance on regional conflicts and its readiness to intervene when it deems necessary. It reflects a more assertive foreign policy approach, emphasizing the projection of American power and a willingness to use military force to defend U.S. interests. This assertiveness is a marked departure from previous administrations, which often favored diplomatic and economic measures over direct military intervention. Trump, throughout his presidency, has consistently taken a hard line against Iran, withdrawing from the Iran nuclear deal and imposing crippling sanctions on the Iranian economy. His administration's policies have been characterized by a zero-tolerance approach towards what it perceives as Iranian aggression and influence in the Middle East. The strikes in Yemen can be seen as part of this broader strategy of pressure against Iran, aimed at forcing Tehran back to the negotiating table and curtailing its influence in the region. By targeting the Houthis, the U.S. aims to weaken one of Iran's key allies and disrupt its network of influence. By targeting the Houthis, whom the Trump administration sees as Iranian proxies, the United States is sending a clear message of resolve to both Tehran and its allies. This action is intended to demonstrate that the U.S. will not tolerate any expansion of Iranian influence in the region and is prepared to take decisive action to counter it. However, this approach carries significant risks. The Middle East is a highly volatile region, and any military action can have unpredictable and far-reaching consequences. The strikes could easily escalate into a wider conflict with Iran, a scenario that could have devastating consequences for the region and beyond. An all-out war with Iran would not only destabilize the Middle East further, but also draw in other global powers, leading to a potentially catastrophic international conflict. Moreover, the use of military force alone is unlikely to resolve the complex political and humanitarian crisis in Yemen, and could even exacerbate the suffering of the Yemeni people. The conflict in Yemen is deeply rooted in historical, tribal, and political issues that cannot be addressed through airstrikes alone. A comprehensive approach that includes diplomatic efforts, humanitarian aid, and long-term political solutions is essential to bring lasting peace to the region. Section 5. The strike's precision and devastation. In a resolute tone, the government maintained its stance, denying any wrongdoing. Despite mounting evidence and increasing pressure, they stood firm, defiant in their position. As the situation escalated, voices of concern began to rise. From international allies to domestic critics, a chorus of worry echoed through the halls of power. People from all walks of life started to question the decisions being made. The looming threat of conflict cast a long shadow over the nation. Uncertainty gripped the populace as the drums of war beat louder. The specter of violence seemed inevitable, leaving many to wonder what the future held. In the face of an unpredictable future, leaders and citizens alike grappled with the complexities of the situation. Navigating through this volatile landscape required careful consideration and a steadfast resolve. The path forward was fraught with challenges, but hope remained a guiding light.